Oh hey, long time no see. Thanks for joining me. This is not going to be a normal video that I do on this channel, so if you were looking for science, this week is not your week. Tune in next week and I'll get back to our kind of regularly scheduled programming. Today I want to talk about what I've been doing for the past 5 weeks and why I haven't been making videos, because I feel like an explanation maybe is needed, and it also will bring us into a bit of a conversation about what I'm going to try and do going forward with the channel. What I do at the moment is I made the foolish mistake of starting too many companies. I run 3 companies: Spin Up Science, Science Angel Syndicate, and a software company called Protolist. I would describe myself, and I think probably most people would describe me, as quite mission driven, maybe even up to a fault. All the things I do, all the companies that I've started, I've really tried to build in a way that I hope makes the world a better place. That sounds a little bit cliche, but makes the world a better place. I predominantly work within the field of science, within knowledge creation, and I have a fundamental kind of underlying belief that a lot of people get into that field, get into wanting to be a scientist because they think that they can have some potential positive impact in the world, that they can go out and think really deep, really hard thoughts, and that will be of benefit to the sum of human understanding or to society at large, that they will come up with great discoveries that will have some impact. And I think most scientists don't really realize that that process doesn't stop with writing a paper about what it is that you've discovered. In fact, I would argue writing a paper about what it is that you've discovered maybe is one of the least effective ways of having impact on the world based on your research. You can put some comments down in the comments section if you fundamentally disagree with that, but I think you're wrong. I think a better way of moving ideas out into the world is to actually take them there yourself, particularly when all of this research oftentimes is publicly funded, as in the taxpayer is actually paying to have this research done. If there is a discovery that is made that can actually benefit society, then we can't just write a paper about it and hope someone picks it up and does something useful one day. It's our job as scientists to go and do that thing, to build a company, to generate a product, and to get that product into the hands of the people that actually will benefit from it. That's kind of my underlying ethos that has been steering me over the past 5 years or so. So in Spin Up Science, my goal was really to team up with academics, either to give them the skill sets that might be needed to go on the journey themselves, or to help them build a company, to take that company out, to raise investment, to get it funded, and then to start developing the product. So at the moment, we're building about 5 companies around great academic ideas, which I'll talk about in detail at a later point. As we started building these companies, what I noticed was that there's a lot of rich folk out there in the world, a lot of people that hope that they can place their money somewhere and it will grow over time. And there's a lot of people that make investments into the next Uber or the next Facebook or the next whatever it is, but very few people actually feel comfortable looking at a really early stage science idea and saying, that's going to turn into an interesting product, that's going to turn into an interesting company, that's actually going to be successful. If you say the next Facebook for X or the next Uber for Y, people broadly will follow kind of your line of reasoning. If you say this is a really interesting synthetic lectin, if you say this is a really interesting new approach to quantum computation, a lot of investors' eyes kind of roll back in their head and they say, nah, I'm going to pass on this one, I don't feel quite up to doing the diligence. And actually that's probably a preferable track. The other track is they do invest, and they invest in things they don't really understand, and then you get a Theranos. Not really the sort of company that you want to fund at the end of the day. So seeing that problem and realizing that it was quite hard to raise investment into an early stage science company because investors were typically sensibly reluctant to invest in things they didn't quite understand, we set up something called the Science Angel Syndicate, which does exactly what the name says on the tin. We invest in early stage science companies coming out of universities. So basically what happened in the past 5 weeks was the perfect storm of workload constructively interfering. All of the stuff from Science Angel Syndicate met all of the stuff from Spin Up Science, and basically had us working from approximately midnight to approximately midnight for about a 5-week period. And something had to give. And what gave in this instance was the YouTube videos, for which I will be eternally sorry. And I guess at one point when I found myself kind of deep in the well, deep in the work, I guess the question I kind of found I was asking myself was, what am I doing and why am I doing it? And the best answer I can come up with is that I am interested in making a difference, right? And I think there's a couple ways that I could go out and do that. really why I started Spin Up Science and why I started Science Angel Syndicate was because I felt that I had a greater ability to have impact, not trying to build a particular product or solution to tackle one problem, but to help many other people kind of get one step closer to what it was that they were trying to achieve, that I was better positioned as someone that could open doors and enable things to happen than I was actually targeting just one particular problem and determinedly going after it. And I guess I suddenly realized that, that's maybe how I should be looking at this channel. I should be saying, what impact can I have as a result of the work that I'm doing, and how can I now better share it with more people? What I want to do going forward is tie more of the content that I produce on this channel to the things that I'm actually doing on a day-to-day basis. Because ultimately what I want the outcome of this channel to be is that people can see that taking even early stage scientific discoveries and moving them out into the world is an entirely valid career path, is an entirely valid route forward, and maybe even a reason to go out and do a PhD. Not to do a PhD because you think you're going to go PhD, postdoc, lecturer, professor, because that doesn't happen that frequently anymore. There aren't really that many jobs in academia. But actually going PhD, coming across some fantastic fundamental science and saying, how do I build a company out of that? And then going out there and building a company out of it and creating jobs for scientists. That, I think, is a message that I want to be behind, that none of these things will be instant game changers, but all of them, I think, will be meaningful steps forward, like one step closer towards getting these big problems solved, like global warming, like how do we deal with pandemics efficiently. So a new kind of theme of content that I want to put on the channel is what I'm going to refer to, working title, as One Step Closer, where we can really start to look at and celebrate those first steps that bring us closer towards solving meaningful problems, where very few things, I mean, we've been talking about quantum computers for like 20 years at this point, very few things actually will be meaningfully resolved within a 5 to 10 year time period. But that isn't the activity that I want to celebrate. I want to celebrate the people that are going out there and starting to make that progress. At the moment, we've got a lot of problems worldwide on our table, and I want to incentivize and I want to highlight and I want to celebrate the behavior of those people that are going out there to start tackling and start solving those problems. And even if only one out of whatever, how many people actually ends up doing something, then that to me has been an effort I've put forward that's been entirely worth it. And so to that end, I'm also going to start a newsletter, because I can write things way quicker than I can make videos. And I again just want to give a bit of a different angle, a bit of a different lens into what it is that's actually happening that I think is really important, which is that there is a wave of people out there that are starting to pick up the tools needed to go out and solve major problems. And they're doing it without the backing of major corporations, and they're doing it without the backing of major governments. They're doing it because they want to see the world be a different place to what it currently is and to improve it for the better. And I want to show those stories, and I want some people to start doing it also. So a little bit of a weird video this week, but thank you very much for staying with me. I will try and get back into the regular scheduled programming as of maybe next week, fingers crossed. I'll do my best, but thank you very much for joining me. Anyway, I appreciate all of you out there. I will see you next time. Goodbye.